Welcome to the Zesty Ginger podcast. We are Megan and Dr. Alex. We are here for transformation. Yours, ours, and the collective. Personal and professional for practitioners. But not just any transformation. Compassionate transformation. Because between the two of us, we have seemed to have done things the painful way. Let our pitfalls become your stepping stones. We aren't afraid to share our raw and vulnerable truths in order to help you transform your thinking, your body, your heart, and your soul. Combining 15 years of functional medicine with brain-based habit change to lead you to the best life possible in a compassionate way. Compassion, yes, yet plan to roll up your sleeves. Transformation requires your participation. And a quick reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor, not this doctor, before making changes. Now let's get into the episode.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Megan and Dr. Alex here.
Hello, hello.
We're excited to have you back for this bonus part. If you were here for the challenge, thank you for being here. So much good feedback, so much happening in just 5 days. It's super cool. So today we are going to get into the nitty gritty of transformation. We are going to explain exactly how our Health Transformation Accelerator program works. So I, Megan, I'm kinesthetic. I'm kinesthetic through and through in the way I learn, in the way I make decisions, and I just go into my feeling. So because I'm such a feeler, what will happen and what has happened for Alex and I over the years is like when we are going to go join something, whether it's a program, a big investment, something we're going to do for our transformation, I just go on gut feeling. I've always been like this. Like my cars I've bought, it's always just been pretty much usually the first one I see that I have the feeling. Same thing happened with our house. It's just how I am. It's how I make decisions. So we were laughing about this because that's awesome for me. And there's lots of people out there who that is not their way of deciding. And a lot of people out there really like and enjoy the details and the nitty gritty. The lineup of how is this going to work? What are you going to do, Megan and Alex? What are we going to do? What are we going to learn? What do we do? How does it work? So we are doing that all today for you.
Yes, absolutely. And this is really, really important because it's crucial. You listen to all 5 parts, if you're here, of the challenge, and you heard, right? It's about knowing who you are, knowing how you work, and having the resources and the support to feel good doing that and actually execute on those things. And that's why we see this a lot with the decision-making process, especially because many people are conditioned to not get the results that they want, right? The habits that we say that we're going to do, then we're falling off, or the health improvements that we want, oh, it doesn't happen, or the business, right? We want to make an impact and it's crickets on Instagram, or crickets on Facebook, or not getting a lot of downloads on the podcast, right? We're conditioned sometimes to have ineffective strategies. And we look around and we say, well, me and everybody else, right? That's not totally true, but that's what happens. And then we say, well, that's just life. And then we have interpretations like life is hard, or I can't do this, right? And so part of this is really truly coming at it from asking the question first of, how do I make decisions? What is it that I need to know so that I go from a space of indecision? And usually that's fueled by fear or disbelief. It can happen for other people. Other people can heal and live a transformed life, but that's maybe not for me, right? And the cost of inaction then, or that doubt or the lack of clarity about ourselves, really then creates more and more of that spiral where the actions that we do take are often not from that empowered place, mostly because we haven't given ourselves what we need, right? The resources that we need to feel supported. And therefore nothing shifts and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's why we're really laying it out like this. This is about Health Transformation Accelerator, but really every single thing that you do or don't do will come down to the aspects that we're going to talk about here. So this is very, very applicable across the board. And really the whole point of talking about this is that we want you to get results, right? Why do we care so much about tailoring our things so that it fits for every style of person, right? It's not just people like Megan and I, but really thinking through who are the people that we are serving, that we are positively impacting, and how do we support them and move them through things like indecision, self-doubt, fear into a place of true transformation and standing in your own power. And the real reason that we want to do that so much, and we harp on this over and over, but it's just the truth, is that Megan and I believe that each individual person healing and coming into unity within themselves, we allow ourselves to stand as leaders in this world to the people around us, our children, our partners, our coworkers, all of that. And so as we transform, the world around us transforms, and it is so needed right now, right? We all know this, and that healing has to happen on the collective level too, and it starts with us. And it means the world to us to be able to share a rinse and repeat 7-step process and break it down for you and how that happens, because we want everybody on this planet to be living the life that they desire, right? That translates to, that sounds so simple. And it sounds like, well, how could that change the world? But the reality is that everything shifts in our world when that happens. And we get to function from that place of the higher perspective of who we're truly proud to be. And when there's enough people acting from that place, some serious, serious magic happens. And it's literally happening right now. So for each of us, the question is, how much do we want to be part of that light, the part of the movement to transform this world? And for Megan and I, it's everything, right? This is so key for us, and we're so passionate about this. And if that's you, right, this is really the place to be, where we're really cultivating that community, and we're going to break it down exactly how we do that for you.
Yeah. I mean, we have 3 or maybe more HTA babies at this point.
Mm-hmm.
People who thought that they weren't going to be able to have a baby, weren't going to be able to have a second child, had infertility with the first, or infertility struggles in general. So if you're wondering why this means so much to us, that's a big part of it. People doing things, whether it's that or clearing the anxious thoughts they have so that they can actually hang out with the children they already have, or clearing the anxious thoughts they have so they can go back to school to become the thing they wanted to become that they didn't do because their family said, that's not what we do.
Mm-hmm.
These are big
Yeah.
things in people's lives.
Yeah, this isn't as much as we love the, all the stuff that people are looking for happens just as much, right? The acne clearing up, the weight coming off, the sleeping better, the feeling more calm, more regular cycles. That is all happening. And at the same time, we don't necessarily talk about at that level all the time, because it's so much more than that, right? The resolution of those things allows you to step into the person that is the rest of you. It just becomes the springboard to creation and having the power to say, this is what I want, and that therefore this is what I'm going to have. And those higher level things are really what most of us desire, right? We think we want the smaller things so that we can feel good, so that we can be happy, so that we can feel like we belong and are loved and are purposeful. And the amazing thing is, when you flip the script and you start talking about those big things, those little things heal as you come into union. The fragmentation is the healing, or undoing the fragmentation is the healing. So it's magical. And obviously Megan and I would not be doing anything else in the world. This is what we're here to do, but we're lucky that way.
Yeah. And it was hard to fully step into this until, my headaches were gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big old circle. We're not ignoring the physical body. And that
Absolutely
is
not.
why we have our 7 steps of the health transformation accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just share with you a couple benefits of why. Why would you do it in this format? Why would you join us? And we know we love in-person events and we're doing them now for practitioners. And we know there's lots of people who aren't in a place to leave or they don't want to, or whatever it is. Learning from the comfort of your home, the fact that we can connect, deeply connect, because of the structure of the program with the other people, with the coaches, with us, from the comfort of your home. Good old Zoom, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool,
And
pretty magical. So
a lot of people are feeling a little lonely, especially the last 2 years. And it's key having a community.
yeah, absolutely. Not just a community of people who speak the language you speak and understand what your goals are and understand your way of getting there. I have found this to be really highlighted over the last couple of years of who I'm around and who I want to be around and what I want to be focusing my energy on. And I noticed meeting up with a friend that I hadn't seen in, probably 15, 20 years. And I noticed so clearly in the languaging of a little bit of blame, a little bit of I should have done this, I can't do that, like a lot of language that it was shocking to my system because the people that I'm around, lovely Dr. Alex, all of our coaches, all the people we learn from, and even just my friends at this point, we have this understanding that we use the language
Mm-hmm.
that we want our subconscious to hear. And so I was realizing, I was like, oh, yeah, most people don't talk the way we do. Most people complain about and vent about their problems. And you heard that in part of the challenge. And
So
so cool to have community, even cooler to have community that's like, I get what you're doing. This
yeah.
transformation stuff can seem weird to others, and we can talk about it here openly.
Oh, that's so true, Megan. You just reminded me of something you and I talked about just recently of kind of having that experience of as we grow and especially step into our emotional intelligence and maturity to have the experience of not feeling supported by someone who isn't able, they don't have the capacity to hold space for you, and how difficult that can be when you don't have other outlets. And so that's a really great point in that, because we're talking about the mind, the body, the heart, the soul, to have a support system that truly supports you on all of those levels feels so much more safe and cultivates a much stronger sense of belonging than aspects that only hit up some parts of who you are and are only able to hold space for those fragments of you.
That's a really big deal. Yeah. And together in this group, we are going to pull out and understand and be open and vulnerable about where you are starting. Like, where are you really starting? You've all heard the whole GPS analogy, right? If your GPS doesn't know where you're starting, it's really hard to put in your destination. It won't know where it's going from and how to give you the direction. So we are getting clear on where you are for real, clear on your goals, as well as your state. So not just where you are like in life, but what's going on inside of your body, what's going on with your neurotransmitter levels, your biochemistry, your physical state, your parasympathetic. So we're going to use this information. We're going to have, everyone's going to get a customized plan. We're going to change the biochemistry from an actual neurotransmitter level. We're also going to understand how that's working with our thinking. What are our beliefs around this? So each step leads into the next. We'll find out the next right step for us. We're finding out where we are. So you're going to hear over and over, just losing the unnecessary restrictions, whether that's food, whether that's movement, whether that's how you work, whether that's how you interact with people. We seem to keep putting on more and more restrictions. With everything we learn, oh, that person said don't do that anymore. Eventually, we end up with not much left.
Yeah, not a whole lot of life to live from and connect with and feel joyful from. That's a really, let me interject here, Meg, for the neurotransmitters. Let's make it super duper obvious here about how little of a distinction there is between the labs that Megan just said and the beliefs. And we talked about this in the 5-part series, in that because the biochemistry is truly maintained from a much more high level and overall control by the central nervous system, that state and the beliefs, the habitual patterns of thoughts and feelings that we experience internally will drive that biochemistry and will maintain it, whether that's a good thing to maintain or maintaining where you are. And that sense of stuckness that you feel is coming from there. So it's really important here that we bring that together for ourselves, because sometimes, and we hear this from people, they say, yeah, I'm going to work on my beliefs, but I just need the right supplements and the right labs and the right food, and then I will figure it out. And let us just pause you there for a second and remind you that that is not how the biochemistry works. That is a false view of the body, then, of the physical body. And that line of thinking will absolutely slow down the results you can have. We did that for years, right? Why Megan and I struggled for years, and then all of a sudden it was this exponential shoot up. That's the realization. So be very conscious of your thinking here, of the I'll do it when, because that's when you start having a thought like that, that's how you'll catch it. So be very discerning and conscientious here on this topic.
Awesome. So for all my detailed friends, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know, read out what is going to be included in the program, and then we can go into more detail after I read this into the areas that you might have questions about. So this is a 12-week program. We open this program twice a year right now. So this is the kind of thing where if you've been thinking about getting in on it, get in on it. Don't wait again, because it will be, another 6 months before we do this. So 12 weekly core modules. There are workbooks for every week. We're going to go through the 7 steps in a process that allows it to work into your mind, work into your daily habits, work into your brain, and continuously adding in a way that does not require deprivation or require you to use willpower, because we've seen how that doesn't work. So we're actually building up the identity of the person in you that will do the things you want to be doing. We're going to have Q&A, lots of calls with us. So 6 live calls with just us. There's going to be calls with other people as well, other coaches and experts we bring in, where everyone brings in what's going on for them that week and how they would like help fine-tuning what they're working on. This is where the magic is. If you've been on coaching calls with us, we get really deep really quickly. That's the power of language, and that's the power of coaching. And we'll have people show up saying, oh, I didn't think I have a question, every single time. And the thing that the woman before me asked, it was like, it just hit me in the heart. It was everything I needed to hear. This happens over and over and over again. So this is the power of group share. This is the power of people sharing what's going on for them. And you'll know, oh, I'm not alone. Someone else is having a very similar experience, and we will do in the moment coaching. We also have 2 human design trainings with expert Barbara Ditlow. So why have we added human design? If you don't know what that is, we have a couple different podcasts on that. So go check those out. And what we have found, and many people say to us like, well, yeah, but how come this works perfectly for that person? It doesn't work for me. How come when I follow the strategies for motivation or habits that worked for Sarah, it doesn't work for me? There's a lot to that, including all the things we talked about, our brain chemistry and what's going on. And our human design will change how we make decisions. So depending on what type you are, and there's a lot of details to this, but we will go to the level where Barbara is going to help you understand what is your basic human design? How does this apply to decision making? How does this apply to habits? And it can be super, super helpful for you to know how you check in with yourself. If you just take away that, that's enough to change your life, because how we make our decisions really, really matters. And it'll keep us from going into the whole shame, guilt spiral when we know we're different. Everybody's different. And just because she does it this way and I don't get results that way doesn't mean anything about me. All right, access to neurotransmitter self-testing. So we use a lovely lab. Not only do you do this testing really easy at home, we can go into more detail, but you also get a one-on-one results session with the lab. Pam from the company M2 that we use is so amazing. And she does most of the sessions herself. She's the chief science officer there and comes with a lot of knowledge and many years. We're also going to be understanding our brain chemistry. We have an amazing live bonus session Q&A with Pam, where she comes in and you can ask all the fun, nerdy science nitty gritty about your neurotransmitters.
And of course, that's all in addition to the nerdiness you already get from me, right? This is just the icing on the cake of I love Pam, and we really value her input on top of all the other stuff that already happens.
Yeah, it's another fun space for you to ask your questions. We have meditations, personal hypnosis. We have audios for transformation. You don't really need to know more than that, other than we will be applying and giving you the resources to help speed up this transformation, because there are tricks and things that all the amazing athletes, all the successful CEOs use. So why not use them in it to speed up a healing journey as well? Absolutely.
Yes, we are using the wiring of the brain that is inherent to transformation, right? If it's who you are, your brain, and therefore your life reflects exactly that to a T. And so when you look around, you already know, based on your life, exactly how that's wired. And it's also incredibly empowering to realize that there are many different ways where that wiring happens, because our brain is very plastic, right? The neuroplasticity. And therefore, there are many techniques and many resources across the board that essentially get you there much, much faster. And that's why Megan's talking about the Olympic athletes and the high-level executives and all those people. Really, when someone is intending to go as fast as possible towards their goals, they are more than likely the type of person that's resourceful enough to look for the solutions across the board to get them there the fastest. And that's really the same line of thinking that we apply here, right? This isn't listen to affirmations till your eyeballs bleed, which is what most people do, and same in the mirror. This is, sure, affirmations are amazing, and there are so many other ways to do that. And the transformation, then you wake up and you're like, wow, I responded that completely differently. And yet I didn't have to think about it. I didn't deliberate about it. It wasn't this painful decision. I just started acting as such. And that's such a cool experience, especially if you're someone that's been like deprivation, try really hard, feel like you're struggling. The experience is just one that says, oh, wow, life can feel easy, or at least easier. And that to us means everything in a world where your brain chemistry is listening to the stress.
That reminds me of Maggie. So we've had so many amazing women come through our program, and everyone gets something completely different out of it, as is with life and what they were looking for and what they were there for. So Maggie, I remember saying that she came into the program thinking that her type A, like perfectionism, was the problem, and that it was triggered by her stress and her symptoms. And she left realizing that it wasn't necessarily the list, because she thought like, oh, I've got to stop with the list. I've got to stop with the way I am and the way I operate. It wasn't that the lists themselves were the issue. It was the urgency that she was putting on completing all the tasks like ASAP, like right now. And then what did that mean about her? It was the story of what she had decided that meant when she doesn't get them all done quickly, and what that meant about her worth. So just realizing that and shifting that has led to then physically all the things changing in her body. She's not in stress state.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. And the second, that really reminds me of something that is common across the board that those of you listening can probably really relate to, because this is a huge problem for people. And it really creates very, tangible physical problems in your world, is constantly second guessing yourself, right? That list, if we even have one to begin with, and a bunch of deprivation on top of it, then you're always, the whole day is kind of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it in the right way? What am I, right? Because especially as you head into beliefs and emotions, sometimes in the beginning, you feel like, oh my gosh, everything's wrong. And that second guessing and that constant threat internally is a huge thing that drives that biochemistry. So sometimes people are spending a lot of money on great food, great supplements, all that stuff, but it's fighting against themselves a little bit. And people sure feel that, right? It feels like you're on the hamster wheel, because that really in reality is kind of what's happening. And so that, however it shows up, whether it's the to-do list or, oh, I'm getting sucked into numbing activities and I'm scrolling when I really should be doing XYZ, the way it manifests can look different. But the underlying issue, and at least one of them that is super crucial to get on as fast as possible, is that we don't have that level of trust and self-confidence within ourselves to say, I am going to try this, execute, and see what happens. That level of belief in ourselves needs to be cultivated. And there are many strategies to do so. And when that happens, that's the transformation, really, is that people begin to get the health results. I mean, I'm snapping my fingers, I don't know, but real quick, right? It happens exponentially after that point.
Mm-hmm. And that's why another reason why we have a private Facebook community is so that everyone can grab an accountability buddy and you can share your wins here. Because when you share your wins, other people see them and it allows it to become a possibility. And we actually do some teaching around this, because if you're thinking, I hate when I see people's wins, because then my brain immediately goes, yeah, but I don't have that, I must not be good enough. And that's very common. So don't guilt yourself if that's your train of thought at the moment, and that can be changed. I really programmed myself over time that anytime I see someone have a huge win, I'm like, it's possible for me too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. Celebrating that, seeing it as a mirror for you, and that it's coming closer to the reality is such a huge paradigm shift, and really improves our own experience of life, because it hurts to go around the world looking and being like, I'm comparing and I'm coming up short.
Mm-hmm.
And instead flipping the script and really learning how to cultivate a different type of mindset. And really, that I remember not only being annoyed by seeing the wins and feeling like I didn't have it. Well, that alone, if you are like, I don't have it and I'm frustrated, and you are going through trying hard and giving up, it's literally because there's fragmentation in that you're trying to pick one or the other. And the reality is really, you are both. You are both frustrated about where you are, and you can absolutely get to the place where you're going. And people struggle holding the concept of both sometimes. So that alone, if you're having that, is pointing to a huge area where when you work on that and resolve those things, life shifts. And then on top of that is the other thing is, sometimes people are like, well, I don't really want to focus on wins because that's too rose-colored glasses, right? I have problems and I need to buckle down and work on them. And again, that is a big clue if you're sitting there thinking that level of thing, which is not uncommon. So it's not a guilt and shame thing, right? If you're having that, it really is again pointing you to a different area that says, I need to be able to hold the space for myself to move forward in terms of thinking about what's possible rather than constantly being at the effect and at the mercy of the problems, right? That is down being at the lobby of the Empire State Building, still tussling shoulder to shoulder with your problems. And you can do that and you'll get to know your problems super well and be best friends with them, but that's not where the solutions lie, or you would have already bumped across them. And therefore, we have to elevate our perspective of where we're coming from so that we can see the resources at our disposal. So the very habit of focusing on, okay, I'm just going to obsess about the problem, and sharing the win seems dumb or pointless or stupid, is really, once again, highlighting a huge area of kind of that block that once you pull that out, your life experience will shift. We've seen that time and time again. That's how that works.
Absolutely. You know, Alex, I don't know if I even told you about this one, but we had a message from our friend Katie recently, who was in our last round of Health Transformation Accelerator. And it was her first round. She's now in our family, so she's coming back for more. But she had been really wanting to taper off her prescriptions for anxiety and depression for a long time. And with the help of her doctor, everybody hear that?
Mhm.
With the help of her doctor, she just sent me a message that she's decreased her prescription is 25% since doing her first round of HTA. And it even more than that, that's cool because that was her goal. If that's not your goal, that's cool too. That was her goal. So it for her, it was how the experience went, not just that it's 25%, but it has gone so smoothly so much more smoothly than any other meds she's titrated. She's feeling a difference in how she's being in her life, how she's living in her life. And she knows that having the support from the neurotransmitter testing has been really awesome for her and a really cool way of having kind of like a hammock, right? This hammock that's there to catch you and this extra support. The group's the support, but also your physical support, your brain chemistry support. So we have seen ladies we work with just love the testing on top of it. Not just about testing, and we love the testing.
It's true. Having numbers that say, hey, this isn't my personality, or this isn't just how I am, or this isn't like a problem with me. And just saying, oh, hey, look, on paper, I can see that this is what's happening. And when I shift that, this is what will happen. It takes away a lot of that gaslighting and the doubt behavior that we have. And I'm so excited to check in with Katie soon, but thank you for letting me know. And that brings up a fabulous point, in that when we have the experiences where we gift ourselves with the resources that improve our experience, so not only are we meeting our goals, but we're like, oh my gosh, this can be a completely different type of experience, not just gripping on tightly and holding on until the ride's over kind of thing, right? That we tend to be conditioned to do. And in some ways, sometimes our brain says that's how it should work. And if it's not hard, it's not working kind of thing, right? To change that experience is really where we talk about concepts that people really want, like confidence, like courage, like, being passionate about what you're doing and moving forward and trusting yourself. Those things are a consequence of having evidence for yourself that you have your own back and that you will create a better life experience. This is not at the mercy of whenever it plops into your lap. This isn't because of your partner. This isn't because of your family. It's just you with yourself, showing yourself that you can have a better experience and that you were the one that drove that. That's what really builds self-confidence, right? That's kind of, some of these concepts are available for us to shift internally. And some of them are, we have to go and prove that to ourselves in some ways. And that is so empowering to recognize and bring that down to the tangible level, because every time after that, it snowballs and you have that evidence and you remind yourself when the mental gremlins, get wet and kick up, and you move forward differently, walking in your own power. And that can't be taken away. The people can leave, the money can go, the pandemic can hit, but you are stable within yourself in a completely different way. And that, Megan, I don't think you and I fully understood what that meant in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
absolutely.
really just, and maybe that sounds so foreign to you, kind of where we were, that you're like, I don't even really know what you're talking about. But just it's like we're waving the the torch over here, right? And just reminding you that that is available for you, and that is cultivated by you, irrespective of what life is lifing like. And it is so gratifying that if you haven't had that, to gift yourself with that experience is maybe right now for me the thing I'm most proud of for myself, right? It reclaimed so much of what I believed about myself that I'm so happy that that's a byproduct that I didn't even really know was coming for me. And how cool, right? That's how that works.
It changes everything. It's so cool.
It really, right, because that, think about when people say trauma and central nervous system dysregulation and hypothalamic dysfunction that causes hormone problems, all of those things are really saying the system, the whole person, there's a level of threat that's higher than the level of stability and calm and peace, right? And therefore, that is the very crux of the equation, right? If you can give yourself that experience of, I've got me throughout no matter what happens, and I have the resources and the toolkit for me that I understand and know how to use and know where to go, that internal level of safety will do more for you than any other external thing, right? The weighted blankets, the you can travel and then all of a sudden you don't have it, or something else happens, or the supplement. It's those things are amazing, and we do love those things. But the confidence when it's internal and is not ever separate from you is the next level thing that reaches all of life. So if you're wondering, like, how do I do this? What's the actual goal? That this conversation is the answer. No matter how you get there in technique or resource, that is the equation. Internal safety.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that.
Right, exactly, because it basically drives your ability to see what's possible or not. Every single thing that happens is either, oh man, that's scary, or that's not for me, or I can't do it, to what if it was for me, and what if I could? What does that look like? Because you're not going to do everything either all the time, right? Some things you're not going to do. And the way that you'll know what's for you or not is also this. So it really leads to just about anything you could ever want to do, and do it more successfully. And I mean, yes, what else is there, right?
Absolutely. Well, we would love, love, love to have any on all of you join us on this journey. Everything that Dr. Alex just said, the steps in the process, although they add up to this huge transformation, the steps themselves are really simple. Like the neurotransmitter testing itself is a kit that comes to your house in the mail, and you pee on it any day of the month and you send it back. Not much to it. Super easy. It doesn't require driving anywhere, having any blood taken, doesn't require anything that's complicated. And that's how we've taken our 15, 20 years combined years of just really digging into our own health and figuring out, like, what did we do when it worked? Because we did a whole lot of stuff that didn't, and not the what specific would we do, not like the what did I take? It's like, what were we actually thinking? What was the strategy behind that? What was the thought process? How did it go when things worked? And then we took each of our 7 steps and broke them down as simply as possible, with the not what to do, but the how. the how to think about that step, and how to think about that step for you is going to be different. Each step is going to be different for each person. So if you are interested in joining us, the investment for the program is $2,500 if you're pay in full. And if you need a payment plan, we have 4 monthly payments of $700. If you want to do more of a full-on one-on-one, adding one-on-one, having a VIP quantum leap experience with us, and then 6 one-on-one private sessions, we also have that option as well. You can check that out all on the zestyginger.com/transform. That program would also have a little more one-on-one access with Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie, like boop, boop. Hey, I need help. So if we've had people say before, like, oh, I can't get help in a group. We don't believe that. We see people get even faster results in a group because of the collective and because of the feedback from others and because of the questions they didn't even know to ask. I've done all sorts of combinations of different programs, and so has Dr. Alex. And we found that the group actually goes the fastest. If you want the group plus one-on-one, that's also an option. And it's kind of a no-brainer. We've decided to make a 30-day action takers money back guarantee because that's how much we believe in this. That's how much we believe this can be customized to anyone. That's how much we believe that even if you do any of it, you're going to get results from it. So after the first 4 weeks, if you're not completely blown away, and this does require that you show up, that you're joining all the calls and you do all the tasking, you do all the work. So in life, we do believe you have to play your part and be a part of it. And when you do, we are guaranteeing that you will be blown away or your money back. So that is for those of you who, fear jumping into these things, for those of you who don't have my kind of gut instinct and gut sense of like, I'm all in, or if you haven't yet adopted the belief that Dr. Alex and I have, we have the belief that in every single program we've ever done, good or bad, every single program we've ever done that we say is like amazing or like, oh, that didn't work for me. We got our money's worth out of that, even knowing that didn't work for me. So for us, no matter what we do, we get our money's worth. We hope that for you as well. And we also have this very specific guarantee for those of you who don't.
Absolutely. Yep. And because we're talking about a lot of brain wiring here. And so for each of us, there's lots of things where the doubts, the fears, the old conditioning, the things that have happened, all of those things are valid for you, right? Just because we are able to transform doesn't mean that we deny our current experience. And in fact, that's part of the GPS, right? If we're inauthentic about where we are, it's very hard to find the appropriate resources. You're not looking for the right ones because you haven't named what the issue is really, right? And because of that, we want to make it very clear, like this is just how that goes. We don't question how this goes. And that's why that is the guarantee, because the thoughts there need to have answers, right? The mental gremlins say, yeah, but the programs are great, but it never works for me. Cool, then try it. And then you can decide 30 days in. That's the whole point. That's our kind of argument for resources and addressing things in the way that you need. There's not quite as much force then of I have to get there mentally or there's something wrong with me, right? It's just, what do I need? What is actually supportive? And how do I move forward for myself? And we run our whole lives like this, and therefore it's reflected in how we work with people. And we like it that way. And that will, as far as I can tell, always be the case.
If you are feeling called, we would love to have you. We're going to start September 26th. That's 2022. If you're listening to this later, then We will have another round coming up, so always feel free to reach out to us. You can email us support@zestyginger.com if you have any questions. You can text us. We'll put the text number in the show notes, so you can just text us directly. It is a real human on the other line. It is us, so we can actually answer your real-time questions there as well. We want to make sure you feel 100% about this, because when you come into something feeling 100% on board about it, those are the results you get. That's what we want for you. And we're so excited to continue on with anyone who feels called to join us.
Yeah, would love to have you.
Thanks for coming out to hang with us on the podcast. It is our goal to transform the way women are treated in healthcare. And we need your help. We need your help to get the word out. We have a lofty goal of 1 million downloads. And we know that as this podcast grows, we're going to be able to reach more women, get more amazing speakers for you, and bring the most cutting edge information.
If you found these podclasses helpful, please take a moment to text 5 women you know the link to the series. We appreciate your help so much. Can't wait to see you next time.